And good afternoon, everyone. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor. My name is Jim, and this is the Friday Afternoon QSO-VLOG Network. This is a directed network, and I am net control. If at any time during this net, should an emergency arise, please notify net control, and we will stand by and allow those in need to access this frequency. Is there any priority or emergency traffic at this time? And hearing nothing, we will continue. This net is all about ham radio. If you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We're recording now live till 5, and then we'll post it up on YouTube so you can come by later and do a call letter search for KC9VKV. That's Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, where we're now featuring about 1,120 QSO-VLOG air checks. Also this afternoon we're running 4 Internet SDR receivers, monitoring Rochester, New York, Milford, Pennsylvania, Atlanta, Georgia, and Arlington, Virginia, trying to get a better copy on our 100-watt friends. Now the audio from these 4 SDR receivers comes up on a 6-position rotary selector. Also on this selector is our local receiver audio. And today, our local receiver is running 2 large 10-foot vertical magnetic loop antennas, one aimed north and south, the other east and west. The north and south mag loop can be rotated. They are selected by a 3-position rotary selector. Position 3 of this selector is a cophase option that many times is 3 to 4 dB hotter than mag loop 1 or 2 by themselves. We do use a lot of rotary selectors in our shack, mainly because there's nothing faster than a rotary switch for comparing multiple signals. Also today, we'll be running our input source indicator, so when we switch from an Internet SDR receiver to our local 990 receiver, you'll be able to hear the switch and see the switch. You'll have to check it out on our YouTube QSO-VLOG video. Well, those are our working conditions. How about yours? This is the Friday Afternoon QSO-VLOG Network. And now, let's check in and see if Charlie K1GZL is on frequency to bring us up to date on the latest 40-meter band propagation. Charlie's QTH is up in northern New Hampshire, near the Canadian border. Charlie, got a copy?
Yes, Jim, a beautiful copy. You're peaking 10 over 9 direct on a sunny day, a beautiful day. The warmest we've had all season. It's up to 77 degrees, and the normal high right now is about 60, 61, and it's awfully dry. We haven't had any rain here for over a week, and the leaves are not out on the trees yet, except the smaller saplings. We have tiny leaves, and on some of the bushes. So we're getting there slowly. And you asked about 40 meters. Yeah, Ian was coming in VK3MO from northwest of Melbourne, Australia this morning at 25 to 30 over 9, and I think I have him here. Okay, and I think about...
Okay, I wasn't sure. Anyway, this is Victor Kilo 3 Mike Oscar near Melbourne in southeast Australia. Yes, you've had a hot day this hour.
Okay, there we are. So, back to you, Jim. KC9VKV, K1GZL.
Roger, Charlie. Well, those transmissions out of Australia keep getting stronger and stronger pretty soon. I'd be watching out for my antenna to be melted by those signals, Roger.
Well, Ian does have quite an antenna down there. He's got 3/4 of a mile of wire in it, and what it is two rhombics, one on top of the other, one at 70 feet and the other at 130 feet, and it's pointed across central Pennsylvania and New York City, right toward New York, and he says I'm just only 8 degrees north of his lobe, so of course he just pounds right on in, and Captain Mike, KX4 Whiskey Charlie, who I normally work when he's aeronautical mobile, is off for his 2-week between flights, and I think it'll be about the 3rd of June before he gets airborne, flying from Philadelphia to Sacramento and back to Philadelphia. Jim, go ahead.
Oh, roger that. Well, gosh, I wish him luck on the current situation with the airline industry. Of course, now, on the other side of the coin, I think you said that he is flying cargo, so I think he may have job security, Roger?
Job security, Roger.
Oh, yeah, he's been flying for 31 years. He's 55, and he started flying when he was 24 years of age. Go ahead.
Oh, roger that. Well, gosh, that's just amazing, that correspondence by radio from a jet flying. What's his normal cruise speed?
It does vary a bit depending on the load. Depending on the load he has, of course, he's a cargo carrier. They cruise generally at about 520 knots, 510 knots, or just under about 580 miles per hour, nearly 600. But if he gets a good tailwind, that gives him a little more of a boost. However, this whole winter, or the whole cold season, he has been running. There's been a west to east flow almost all winter long, west to east flow, and that has kept the storms off the coast. But we've been getting backlash up here and upsloping, which gives us all our snow. But when he flies west, it takes him, probably an hour longer to get to Sacramento than it does when he flies east. In fact, over a week ago, he was flying from Philadelphia to Sacramento, and he had to take a southern route. They had so much rain in the Chicago and Michigan and all through there that they had to tour southward. On his last flight was an altitude of 39,000 feet, and his load was much lighter, so he was able to get up there higher. I think that plane has a ceiling of 43,000 feet, 43,000, but generally he runs lower than 39,000 when he has a heavier load, Jim. K1GZL.
Roger. Well, my nosebleeds starts nosebleed at about, I think about 250 feet or so. So those kind of altitudes, I can only imagine. I can't really, fathom that. Actually, that's too much altitude. But I would like to have an antenna that tall, and he is being able to do that. So I imagine that does help his QSO-VLOG, well, his QSO range considerably at 30,000 feet or 35,000 feet or whatever it is. Charlie, I want to pick your brain for just a minute. Now, I know you've been an amateur radio operator for a long time, and I'm just curious about what your response might have been the first time you ran across a transistor. Now, I know when you started your amateur radio career, everything was tubes, and I was just curious what your thoughts were the first time you ran across a transistor.
Oh, well, that's when everything started to explode. It was quite amazing, Jim. It was absolutely amazing, the technology that has developed. It's happened so fast, I'm beginning to wonder what else is going on. It's just incredible when you look back at what has happened, especially in our lifetime, or even before, say back 100 years. It's mind-boggling. Like somebody threw a switch. By the way, your signal is just beautiful in here, direct from southern Indiana.
Charlie, I want to pick your brain for just a minute. Now, I know you've been an amateur radio operator for a long time, and I'm just curious about what your response might have been the first time you ran across a transistor.
Okay, Jim, go ahead.
Roger, Charlie. Well, to me, I was just a young whippersnapper, so, I became aware of transistors, but it wasn't anything that I was actually working on at the time, so I managed to just, grow into transistors, but you already had your career in amateur radio well underway, and the development of the transistor came at a time when you were, like I say, already well into your career. So what was the first radio or item that you had that was transistorized?
Oh boy, you got me on that one, Jim. I can't remember offhand. I remember back in the earlier days, I had a Hammerlin Super Pro receiver, and then eventually a Collins 32 V2 as an exciter. And my dad had built way back. My dad had built an amplifier with a pair of 866 rectifiers. They were a nice blue color when they were on. The time has flown by to the point I'm still trying to catch up. Go ahead.
Roger. Well, the evolution of radio, or the evolution, let me say, of electronics, we all stand on other people's shoulders. We have, each generation manages to build on the experiments and evolution of the people in front of us, and so it's just amazing how far we have come, to the point that, probably modern electronics, it's just impossible to actually work on, because all you have is a printed circuit board kind of thing with little bumps along the way, and unless you've got a cheat sheet, you have no idea what those little bumps are, Roger.
Oh, yeah. You're absolutely right. I'm not that much of a technician. I'm more of an antenna man, Jim. But it's fascinating. What's it going to be like 50 years from now? Let us hope we're all alive. In 50 years, let's hope we don't have any bugs or diseases that cause a collapse of the economy. Let's hope not. I hope everything straightens out on COVID-19. Okay, Jim, I know there are a lot of people trying to work you there. That station you were talking to in Alabama, I could barely hear him, but that's a long haul. This time of day from northern New Hampshire all the way down there. So I'll sign with you, Jim, and hopefully catch you next week. It's always a pleasure, and you sound great. I think you would sound the same in person as you do over the air. KC9VKV, K1GZL 73, Jim, a pleasure.
Roger, Charlie 3 is up that way, sir. You have a great afternoon and beautiful weekend coming up. Sound beautiful down here. All right, this is the KC9VKV Friday Afternoon QSO-VLOG Network. My name is Jim, and I'm better known in some circles as Dr. VKV. And we are recording now live till 5, so if you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We'll post this recording up on YouTube in the next couple of days. So when you go to YouTube, just do a call letter search for KC9VKV, and that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And right now, you'll be looking for one QSO-VLOG entitled My Group Aircheck 52220. My Group Aircheck 52220. This is a KC9VKV listening.
Kilo 4, November, uniform Ameritex, right?
Kilo 4 station, come back with a call sign again, please.
Kilo 4, Charlie Victor.
Kilo 4, Charlie Victor, Roger.
Kilo 4, Charlie Victor, Roger.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Jim. Mr. Jim, I'm presently running a Icon 7300 with a newer NW800 $15 mic. My suppression is 3, mic gain 4, transmit treble +4, transmit bass +1.
Roger. Sounds good. Now, I need to probably run around just a minute to see if I can get my best copy. I do that quite often. I'm running 4 internet SDRs plus my local antenna, which consists of 2 10-foot vertical magnetic loop antennas. So come back and give me about 10 seconds or so on your antenna system, Roger.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Dipole, 102 feet, up about 50 feet. The other one, we had a storm the other day and had to take down the off-center fed. So I've got 2 QT8. I'm at my second QT8, and I'm not going to really worry about putting up anything any better. But I think the center fed, to me, it does a fairly good job. Oh yeah, my ACL is about 2/3 scale.
Oh, Roger that, and you have your compressor at 3. Is that a Roger?
That is correct, sir.
Roger. Your dynamic range is 3 dB, so exactly where you want to be. Now, if it were me, I would add just 1 click of top-end boost EQ from wherever you are, just 1 click more top-end EQ, Roger.
Top-end EQ, Roger.
Give you just a little bit more edge, just a slight bit more edge on the audio curve, Roger.
On the audio curve, Roger.
Yes, sir. Okay. Make any difference?
I think you got it there. I would get the Gorilla Tape out and tape that down. What's the location, sir?
Okay, I'm located in Eatonton, Georgia. It's going to be about 85 miles southwest of Atlanta. My name's Chuck, Charlie Hotel Uniform, Charlie Kilo. And one more, I did go by the desktop speakers that you advised. I had been running a playing band, and I had been running everything through a studio mixing board. But with all the cables you've got to run, and that's I think I got this one for around $32. It sounds twice as good as the going through the board and going through $200 speakers.
Yes, sir. That's quite an outfit there for $35 at Walmart. The Logitech speaker system. It's a 2.1, 2 satellite speakers plus a subwoofer, and the subwoofer allows you to experience frequency responses down around 60 or 70 cycles for $35, $32. It's hard to find a speaker system that will have that kind of depth in the bottom end, and so Chuck is experiencing one of the things that I experienced a couple of years ago when I did a little modifications to my system to add in a more full-range speaker system, and I was just amazed about the subwoofer capabilities. And what that really matters is when you're running a 7300, and that 7300 in the filter 1 position, which is like no position, has the ability to, if you're talking to somebody that's generating frequency responses down to 100 cycles, it's just so marvelous just to hear that the warmth in the body of the audio.
Yes, sir, it is. Okay, Mr. Jim, you have got me set up, because I listen to you every afternoon, and I have heard you talk to a lot of 7300 owners, and I was jotting notes, taking notes. So I certainly appreciate you helping me. Thank you so very much. I know there's 1,000 of them you want to get in. I'm going to say 73. You have a good, long holiday weekend, and take care. KC4VKV, KC9, excuse me. Kilo 4, 73, and thank you again.
Roger, Roger, check 3 set way, sir. And if you'd like to hear your beautiful audio, if you go to YouTube in the next couple of days, the next 48 hours, we'll have it up there. And you'll be looking for my group Aircheck 5/22/20, today's date. My group Aircheck 5/22/20. 3 set way, sir. Have a great afternoon. This is KC9VKV listening.
VKV listening.
Got about 4 stations that they're all about the same level, plus Milford is cut out. So Milford is one of the greater SDR locations I've found. And so when I lose that, first I lose it in 20 minutes because of inactivity, and then I lose it in 30 minutes because of too much activity. So it's kind of like the Big Bear's SDR. You got to be just right to work there that SDR. This is KC9VKV listening.
VKV listening.
Kilo Alpha 4 Alpha Tango Tango.
Alpha Tango Tango. Come back with the whole call sign, please, sir.
Come back with the whole call sign, please, sir.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Jim. Kilo Alpha 4 Alpha Tango Tango, North Carolina.
Yes, sir. What's the name there?
Yes, sir. What's the name there?
The name is Sam. Sierra Alpha Mike, Sam.
And that was North Carolina?
And that was North Carolina?
Yes, sir. Right in the middle of North Carolina.
Roger, Roger. We have a hotspot through the Carolinas. When we built our station, we had a mantra that said 20 over from Montreal to Miami with a hotspot through the Carolinas. And lo and behold, it seems to be turning out that way. Sam, what radio are you running?
That way. Sam, what radio are you running?
Have a Kenwood TS-30S, one of the older rigs, into an in-fed antenna outside. Just got everything set up and put up about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Roger that. So you're running your compressor at about a 3. Is that a Roger?
Compressor at about a 3. Is that a Roger?
That I have the level turned up. I think it's turned up pretty much the whole way. Do I need to back off of it a little bit?
Yes, sir. We're only looking for about a third of the capability of the compressor. We don't want to actually hear it working. When you start exceeding the speed limit on the compressor, you start sucking up between words, and you don't need that. The compressor will do all that it needs to do with about a 3. So if we're just looking for about a third of the capability of that compressor. If you have a rotary dial, as far as an input control, you want to set that at probably about a 10 or 11, somewhere in there, Roger.
Or 11, somewhere in there, Roger.
All right, sir. Turn it down. It's about 10 and 11 o'clock.
If it has numbers, if it, like I say, if it's 1 to 10, you want to set it on 3. If it's 1 to 100, you want to set it on 30, Roger.
Set it on 30, Roger.
Yes, sir.
So, Sam, you have kind of faded out or down. Let's see where it goes here for a second. The other thing is about your ALC meter. After you get your compressor set there at about a third of its capabilities, you need to go to your ALC and adjust the ALC by way of your mic gain to where your ALC meter is showing mid-scale to 2/3. Roger?
To 2/3, Roger.
All right, I will attempt that now. I'm not getting much swing on the ALC scale like the guard.
Okay, I can see by your audio that your dynamic range is not where it needs to be. You need to be at about a 3 dB dynamic range. Right now, that last transmission, it looked like it was a 5 or 6 dB dynamic range. So you want to be sure that you set that ALC at mid-scale to 2/3. So in the way you set that is you're in transmit and you're just talking along, and you're talking in your regular normal voice. You're not trying to set a level 1 2 3. You're not trying to do that. You're just trying to, adjust that ALC for mid-scale to 2/3 in your normal speaking voice. Roger.
Normal speaking voice, Roger.
All right. See how that goes.
Sam, your signal has faded almost out there. I did not copy you hardly at all that time. So I'll leave you with that to just take notes. Compressor, you want to run that at about 1/3 of its capability. And then your ALC, once you get the compressor in line at 1/3 of its capability, then you want to move to your ALC with mic gain in hand and adjust your ALC to where when you're speaking in just a normal voice, the way you normally address your microphone, that you bring your mic gain to where that ALC meter is moving mid-scale to 2/3. Roger?
Mid-scale to 2/3, Roger.
Yes, sir, I did copy that. Now I can go out in all parts. I dropped out to 50.
Well, Sam, let me say threes to you. We'll try this later on today or maybe next Friday. I'd like to hear you. So if you have a chance to check in next Friday, would probably be the best. Conditions might be just absolutely perfect, and I'll be able to hear how it sounds if you've made those adjustments. So threes to you for now. Thanks for checking in. This is KC9VKV and. Gosh, we didn't do this last Friday, and I want to do this. It's time for our Adventures in Radioland. This segment, UHF and VHF YAGI Antennas, Part 1. One of my favorite pastimes is building UHF and VHF YAGI antennas. I build a mean 8-foot, 7-element VHF YAGI that on any given day is 4 to 5 dB hotter than any commercial 7-element YAGI. Part of the reason for this additional gain is the special driven element I use. It is a half-wave, half-folded dipole. It's extremely efficient and not coax specific, so I use RG6U quad for the transmission line. It also is extremely efficient. You can easily tune the driven element to a 1-to-1 SWR and better. Another one of the reasons for this YAGI's higher gain is its higher Q. I use 1/4-inch diameter elements. That gives me the higher Q. But there's a trade-off because of the higher Q. SWR does rise at the outer edges of the band. But I found one spends a lot more time towards the middle of the band than the outer edges of the band. So I want the higher gain. My YAGI beams are fabricated from using a wooden boom, 3/4 of an inch by 1 1/4 inches. Let me change pages here. By 8 foot long. So the boom is 8 foot long, and also, as I said, 3/4 of an inch by 1 1/4 inches. For technical specs, if you would like, just Google search for Kent Britain, KENTBRITIN. So it's search for Google search for Kent Britain cheap YAGIs. Kent Britain cheap YAGIs. Also, FYI, I use zinc-covered, galvanized 1/4-inch steel stock for all of my elements. If somebody tells you YAGIs have to be made out of copper or aluminum, tell them to go fly a kite. I built these YAGIs out of all 3 materials, and there's not a dime's worth of difference between them. Anyway, you can get all the materials needed for the build at Home Depot. The wood boom in the wood department, the 1/4-inch galvanized steel from the fence department, and I used very small split bolts to attach the transmission line to the driven element. If you don't have a drill press, you can still drill the element holes by hand. The important thing is out on the ends. They should all line up correctly. All the elements should be exactly 90 degrees from the boom, and as you look down from one end, you should only see the first element. The others should be exactly in line behind the first element. In this regard, I have a small antenna test range to check out each YAGI for proper targeting characteristics. When I get to the end of the building process, I give each one of the beams 7 coats of high gloss black to help preserve it. Now, about the maintenance, I suggest about every 4 to 5 years pulling them down, cleaning them up, and replacing the metal hardware. Then repaint them with a couple of coats of high gloss black. In that regard, I have just taken down my stack 7s and stack 20s, which are 2 VHF YAGIs and 2 UHF YAGIs on a single 6-foot crossboom. It has a lot of weight to it, so I had that has 4 8-foot booms with an additional 4 anti-warp booms attached, plus the 6-foot steel cross boom. So I used a very heavy duty gin pole, pulley, and rope. I used a 2.3-foot suspension harness to try and stabilize it on the way down, but it has a lot of difficulty with just one person. However, the job got done, so now it's on to the painting, the new hardware, and getting it back up. I also have a commercial VHF UHF GP9 at 70 feet, and a VHF Big Bomber 19-element YAGI on a 22-foot boom, plus 3 other VHF 7-element YAGIs to try and maintain so it keeps one busy. Well, that's part 1 of our UHF VHF YAGI series on Adventures in Radioland. Next Friday, we'll have segment 2 of that. So, gosh, if you're into UHF or VHF antennas, hopefully you'll check in and hear part 2. This is KC9VKV, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG net. We are listening. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor, Kilo Victor, my. I've got, in Arlington, Virginia, I have a very loud buzz on my SDR. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but at least it's working anyway. This is KC9VKV, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
Kilo 9, Uniform America X-ray.
Something America station, come back with the call sign again.
November 8, Uniform America X-ray.
November 8, Uniform America X-ray, is that correct?
That is correct. We've spoken before.
Roger, roger. What's the name there, sir?
The state is North Carolina, and I'm just south of Winston-Salem.
And your name is Mark, is that a Roger?
Yes, Mark. Are you having trouble?
Well, Mark, you're on my local antenna. My other SDRs are experiencing a heavy QRM kind of buzz. Gosh, let's see where it goes. What radio are you running, Mark?
This is the 7610, and there's audio shaping and advancement, the same thing I had in my 756 Pro. Last time we chatted, I didn't know where the drive gain was. I since found out where that is now.
Roger, roger. Okay, now, and what is the reading currently on your drive gain?
Okay, hang on, let me get there. All right, let me tap it. 50%.
Okay, pull that up to 65%. Bring your drive up to 65.
Okay, that's drive at 65.
All right. So I love those 7610s, and that drive feature. It just takes that audio and just shakes it a extra little bit. I would say your modulation now is somewhere around 85 to 90%. It really looks like maybe a 2 to 2.5 dB dynamic range. Roger?
Roger. I have the mic gain at 40%.
Yes, your ALC, well, you're fine. It just sounds beautiful. I wouldn't change a thing.
Oh, that takes care of that. Let me hit the exit here and get back to the screen. And that opens it up for some other folks.
Yeah, Roger, EQ is nice articulated, so that 7610 is doing a great job. Get the Gorilla tape out for that.
Before. I enjoy listening to you, and we'll have to do it again if I accidentally hit the buttons, okay? You take care, sir. Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor N8 UAX.
Roger, now the main thing, you stay on axis to the microphone. Don't pull off mic, because that radio is doing everything it can to give you that modulation level. And if you pull off mic and lose your top end because you're looking away from the mic, then you might go a little bassy, because that radio is still trying to give you that modulation level, even though you have compromised the signal yourself by pulling off mic. So you want to stay on axis for sure on the microphone. Roger?
But yeah, if you want me right about here, that's about 2 inches from the microphone, directly straight on.
That's beautiful, and I would stay there. So whatever you do, don't look away and be thinking about something else. Just concentrate on what you're doing, and you'll have just a beautiful signal. Roger.
Roger. Thank you very much. Have a fine afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir. You too. Threes to you, and thanks for checking in. And hopefully next Friday, if you get a chance, drop by and let me know what you've been up to. Appreciate the check by. This is KC9VKV, and this is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give me a shout. Charlie Papa station. Go ahead. Come back with a call again.
Go ahead. Yeah, come back with a call again. Yeah, good afternoon, Jim. It's Echo 3 Papa Charlie Papa. Rob up here from Carson, Ontario. How are you?
Roger. Now, gosh, you're usually tearing my head off on Milford, and today you seem to be over on Rochester. Roger. Roger. Now, are you running your normal power level? Roger, I'm only copying you about 3 or 4 dB above the Rochester, New York SDR level for whatever reason. Usually, like I say, Milford is usually, you're usually 15 over on Milford. So we do have some unusual conditions this afternoon. Roger? It did fade down that time. So, gosh, not a good day today from up in Canada, Roger.
From up in Canada, Roger. Yes, all okay, very good. Well, I thought I'd give you a chance to check in anyway, and see what you can hear me on. Replace that street for now, and we'll check up again another time. KC9VKV, the 3 PCP.
Roger, Roger. You can't win them all. Usually you're 15 to 20 over in on Milford, so maybe next Friday we'll be back under control. Thanks for checking in, though. You stay warm up there in Canada through you. So this is KC9VKV, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG net. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
You want to check out? Give me a shout.
I think there was a Whiskey 4 station. Come back with a call sign again.
Come back with a call sign again.
Whiskey 4, Mike, Kilo, Charlie.
Is that Whiskey 4 Mike Kilo Charlie, Roger?
Whiskey 4 Mike Kilo Charlie, Roger.
Roger, Roger.
Roger, and what's the name there, please?
Roger, and what's the name there, please?
Yeah, this is Tom, Tango, Oscar, Mike.
Tom was that?
Tom was that?
Roger, Tom, and whereabouts are you located, sir?
Whereabouts are you located, sir?
Well, Tennessee, about 34 miles south of Johnson City.
Yeah, Tom, did you say you're in Tennessee? Is that a Roger?
You're in Tennessee, is that a Roger?
That's Roger, Roan Mountain, Tennessee, over.
Oh, roger that, roger that. Well, I'm copying you probably about 4 dB over the Rochester, New York SDR noise level, Roger.
SDR noise level, Roger.
Got you moved that over right fine, about a 10 over.
Roger that. What radio are you running today, Tom?
Radio are you running today, Tom?
Well, I'm running a 7300 and going to a 811H amplifier. Probably putting out around 500 watts over.
Roger, Roger. About 3 over the Rochester, New York noise level. Should be much hotter than that, but today is just not a great day on 40 meters, it looks like. Well, you know, the standard setup procedure for the 7300 is that compressor set at 3, compressor set at 3, and then go to your ALC and adjust your mic level to where your ALC meter is running mid-scale to 2/3. Roger?
To 2/3, Roger.
Roger, Roger. Yeah, I've always ran the compression at 2, so maybe I'm going to have to change that and go back to 7.
Yeah, you want to run a 3 on the 7300 because it needs that little boost to make the proper output, along with the ALC meter being adjusted to a mid-scale to 2/3. And that, when you adjust that ALC meter, I don't want you to set a level 1, 2, 3 like that. I want you to just speak naturally like you normally do on your microphone, and then adjust that mic gain to where your ALC is moving mid-scale to 2/3 as you just speak naturally. Roger?
Speak naturally, Roger.
And Tom, I didn't copy that last transmission. Let me see. I get my Georgia SDR up here. That might be in a better situation to copy the mail. It has sat down, so let me bring that back up. This should only take a moment, he said. Let's see. Okay, we should be back up now. And Tom, try it again. Let me see if I get a better copy on the Georgia SDR.
On the Georgia SDR.
BKV, W4NKC. You have adjusted the comp up to 3 and the mic gain down from 76 down to 20, over.
Roger. The actual, well, let's see, I just went to the Georgia, got the Georgia SDR up, and you're, like 15 over on the Georgia SDR, so we're going to be able to do some business here because I can hear you really well. So it doesn't really make any difference exactly what the mic gain numbers are. What the really important thing is that your ALC meter is moving correctly in the mid-scale to 2/3. Roger, that's the important thing, the ALC reading.
Important thing, the ALC reading.
Okay, yeah, roger. Well, I think I'm going from about a quarter all the way up to 3/4, depending on how I'm talking. And I do have the high I see every now and again, but yeah, I got it way down from 76 percent to 20%, so it came down quite a bit. I might bump it up just a tad here. How's that sounding there?
Roger, I would get the Gorilla Tape and lock her down. Your dynamic range is exactly where it should be, about 3 dB, which means your average percent of peak modulation is between 80 and 85%. So again, exactly where you want to be. Your audio EQ curve sounds great. Wouldn't change a thing. Get the duct tape. Get the Gorilla Tape.
Get the Gorilla Tape.
Okay, James, thanks a lot for your help there. Yeah, I've been struggling with this, changing between mics, and I'm on a Heil Pro 7 right now with the IC mic, and I've only had the amp a month, so kind of fiddling everything out there, so appreciate the help for sure. KC9VKV, W4MKC 73, my friend.
Roger, and that was the 7300, Roger.
That was the 7300, Roger.
Yes, that's Roger, 7300.
That's what I thought. I just hadn't put it down on paper. Sometimes I doodle instead of writing down critical stuff. But anyway, it sounds great, man. Thanks for checking in. And if you get a chance, drop by next Friday and we'll compare notes. 3 is down towards Tennessee. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor, Kilo Victor, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG. And if you want to hear your audio, if you go to YouTube, of course, you have to participate. And then go to YouTube, and I'll post it up on YouTube in the next couple of days. So you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor, Kilo Victor, which would be our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, we're running about 1,120 some odd recorded QSOs. You'll be looking for one in specific that is entitled My Group Aircheck 52220. My Group Aircheck 52220. This is KC9VKV listening.
9VKV listening.
I heard about 2 stations back in there, way back in there. This is KC9VKV, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG net. We're recording now, live till 5. Give me a shout.
Live till 5. Give me a shout.
I heard somebody back in there, but very low. Come back with your call sign again, please, sir.
With your call sign again, please, sir.
Sound like HLB or something ends in B, Roger?
Something ends in B, Roger.
Okay, gosh, if you can copy me pretty good, what you really need is a little EQ. First thing is you need to get a little EQ going on your audio. I think if you had a more top end, I could understand what you're saying. I can hear you in there. You're a couple of dB above my noise level, but I can't make out the actual words that you're speaking. So I think you do need a little more articulation in your audio curve. So go to your equalizer and crank in at least 2 to 3 dB top end boost additional to whatever your EQ control is at the moment. Roger?
Control is at the moment. Roger?
Roger. KD0HLV.
Okay, do you know where your equalizer is?
You know where your equalizer is?
station that HLB or something like that. This is KC9VKV. Do you copy?
9VKV, do you copy?
I got a copy on you there. Say again.
Roger. Were you going to try to strike that EQ curve boost on the top end at this moment?
On the top end at this moment?
I don't know that I know what you're talking about.
Do you know where your equalizer is on your radio?
Equalizer is on your radio?
No. I got a nice C7600.
Okay, let me give you some notes, and you can work it as your leisure to find these different things. Roger?
Find these different things. Roger?
Okay, the first thing you want to do is find your compressor, your processor. It can go by either name, processor, compressor. You want to find the compressor and bring it in line, turn it on, and adjust it for a 3 input. 3 out of 10, 30 out of 100. We just want about a third of the capabilities of that compressor. About a 3 out of 10, 30 out of 100. A third of its capabilities. Then once you get the compressor in line, move to your ALC meter. Bring up your ALC meter, and with mic gain in hand, adjust your ALC meter to where it's running mid-scale to 2/3. You adjust your mic level, and you just speak naturally and transmit in your natural voice, and take your mic gain control and adjust it to where your ALC meter is running mid-scale to 2/3. Roger?
Scale to 2/3. Roger?
Let me work it out a little bit. The compressor is on 3 right now.
All right, then after you get your ALC meter running mid-scale to 2/3, I want you to go to your equalization. Go to your EQ, your equalization, and bring a top-end boost 3 clicks from where it is. Add 3 clicks to your top-end EQ from wherever it is at the moment. Roger?
At the moment. Roger?
Roger. Roger. Okay, let me do some checks here. We're going to try to get backwards now a little bit. 80 HL.
Okay, let's work just a little bit on getting the call sign. I'd like to get your call sign. If you could repeat that again, please, slowly, phonetically.
That again, please. Slowly, phonetically.
Kilowatt. David. Zero. Hotel. Lima. Victory.
Hotel Lima Victory, is that a Roger?
Hotel Lima Victory, is that a Roger?
Okay, and what's the name there?
Okay, and what's the name there?
The name here is Mike. Mike. Kilo Echo.
Roger, Mike, and what's your location, sir?
Roger, Mike, and what's your location, sir?
It is southwest Missouri, Berry County.
Roger on Missouri. Okay, Mike, gosh, I wish I had a better copy on you, but it is what it is, so we just deal with it. Hopefully you can crank in those notations that I gave you and join us next Friday. We run between 3:30 and 5 Eastern on this frequency, recording all the while, and we have been recording your transmissions. If you would like to hear where you are now today, we don't have a great copy, but we did, do have some copy on you there. So if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and on that page you'll be looking for a recording entitled My Group Aircheck 5/22/20. That's today's date. My Group Aircheck 5/22/20. Roger?
20. Roger?
All right, Mike. Well, let me say threes to you, sir. Have a great afternoon, a beautiful weekend coming up. And if you get a chance, join us next Friday. We'd love to have you. And also on that QSO-VLOG recording, it'll take us a couple of days to get it up there. So we should have it posted up on YouTube within 48 hours. Roger?
Within 48 hours, Roger.
Roger, thank you very much.
Roger, Mike. Three's that way, sir. Thanks for dropping by. This is KC9VKV, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG net. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
You want to check out? Give me a shout.
Hotel X-ray Lima.
3 stations, dead tie. Loudest one, come back.
Tie, loudest one, come back.
Whiskey Zero Hotel X-ray Lima.
Okay, Whiskey Zero station, the Whiskey Zero station. Come back slowly, phonetically, with the call sign, please.
Phonetically with the call sign, please.
You bet. Whiskey Zero Hotel X-ray Lima. Whiskey Zero Hotel X-ray Lima. Southwest Iowa.
Roger, Southwest Iowa, Whiskey Zero Hotel X-ray Lima. What's the name there, sir?
Yeah, the name is Delta India Charlie Kilo, running about 500 watts with a ground-mounted, it's an old high-gain, high-power vertical, 600 feet of radio. And I need your name and QTH, please. Go ahead.
Roger. Name here is Jim, Juliet India Mike. The call is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor. We are located right across the Ohio River from Louisville, Kentucky. We are on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, right at Louisville. Roger?
Right at Louisville, Roger.
QSL near Louisville. Thank you, Jim. Very good. You're a good 5'7" to 5'8". A little bit of QS Baker, but a very nice signal, Jim. Go ahead.
Roger, Dick. I'm copying you 8 over on the Georgia SDR. Roger.
SDR, Roger.
Yeah, okay. Apparently you can switch back and forth there, Jim. The transceiver is an ICOM 746 Pro analog, 746 Pro, and like I say, run at about 400 to 500 watts into a ground-mounted vertical. QSL.
Roger. Well, it's amazing that we're doing as well as we are, going from vertical to the horizontal polarization. Usually, it takes maybe a little bit more distance than what we are apart to make that vertical horizontal polarization difference work really perfectly. Roger.
Really perfectly, Roger.
Yeah, very good. And what are you running, Jim? What's the rig and the antenna? Go ahead.
Going backwards, the antenna, we have a bunch of antennas, but we only have one transmit antenna. We are using our dipole, our 0SWR dipole, that's designed specifically for moving down the East Coast. And then coming backwards, we're running a SB220, and then in front of that a highly modified Yaesu FT990. Roger?
990, Roger.
Oh, yeah, QSL. Wow, very good. Well, you're doing a great job. Like I said, a good majority of time solid S8 here, Jim, and fine on the FT990. Very nice, venerable radio there as well. Well, listen, I won't hold you. I know you're looking probably more for guys running SDR equipment, and mine's a little dated here, all analog stuff, but there you go. Anyway, nice to make your acquaintance, Jim, and even under rather unusual band conditions. I don't know if the solar cycle 25 will ever get here, Jim, but I first started during cycle 19, which was, of course, the best ever. But anyway, we'll have to wait and see when 24 has got to be at the bottom. And God, I know the highest could get any lower, Jim. KC9 Victor Kilo Victor W0HXL.
Roger, Roger, Dick, and we are recording this, so if you want to hear what your radio sounds like, if you go to YouTube in the next couple of days and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. On that page, you'll find about 1,120 some odd recorded QSO-VLOGs, but you'll be looking for one specifically, and that is one entitled My Group Aircheck 52220. My group Aircheck 52220, and like I say, it takes us a couple of days to get it up there, Roger.
Roger, QSL. Very good, Jim. Well, thanks so much. And I think there's probably plenty of guys waiting in the wings to give you a call. My pleasure. Have a good holiday weekend, Jim. And thanks so much for the report. Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, Whiskey Zero, Hotel, X-Ray Lima, Southwest Iowa.
Roger, great signal. Great signal. Thanks for dropping by. If you get a chance, join us next Friday. We do the QSO-VLOG net from 3:30 till 5, recording all the while. This is KC9VKV, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG net. If you have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
Kilo Zulu 4 Zulu Kilo. Kilo Mike Zulu.
There's a Kilo Zulu something. Start the call sign with a Kilo Zulu. Come back and slowly, phonetically with the rest of the call sign.
Roger, Jim. Kilo Zulu 4 Zulu Kilo.
That's a tongue twister. Kilo Zulu 4 Zulu Kilo. Not really, but anything's a tongue twister for me. My name, Jim. Sometimes it's just really tough. Anyway, what's the name there?
Hey, Jim, we've talked a couple of times in the last few months. The handle here is Smiley, Sierra Mike India Lima Echo Yankee.
Roger, Smiley, and what's your location, sir?
I'm in Ellijay, Georgia, in the North Georgia mountains.
Roger, North Georgia. Well, coincidentally, I am on the Georgia SDR, and I was just thinking, depending on what radio you're running, sir.
Running a 7300 right now. You may remember me as you being my first HF contact in 38 years several months ago.
Yes, sir, I do recall that. I certainly do. Well, what I would do on your EQ, I would add a couple of clicks of top end. I'm hearing some room noise. Now, what I would suggest is that you maybe work that mic. How far away are you working that mic now?
Oh, about a foot, 10 inches to a foot.
Yeah, I would move closer. Which mic is that?
It's an ICOM SM30.
Yes, sir. I would move to about 4 to 5 inches away from that mic. I would work that mic about 4 to 5 inches. That will cut down on your room noise, and also it should help your EQ top end. But I would look at you may need to readjust your AOC level when you start working closer. So let's do a setup on that. If you would, you should be running your compressor at about a 3. Is that a Roger?
That is a Roger. We are at 3.
All right. Now I would move to my ALC meter, and I would start working my microphone at about 4 to 5 inches. 4 inches. Let's say 4 inches. So, and then you would adjust your mic gain until your ALC is running a mid-scale to 2/3 by, since you're working closer to mic.
Okay. We're pumping up on 1/2, and we're going to run it up a little higher, go higher and higher and a little higher, up to about 70, and it's not going but just a little over half.
Okay. Now, do you know where your EQ is on that radio?
I do. It'll just take me a couple of seconds to get there.
All right. I want you to increase your top end 2 clicks to begin with. 2 clicks additional top end EQ from wherever you are at the moment on your treble equalization. Plus 2 clicks additional from where you are.
Additional from where you are.
Okay, it is set flat right now, and I'm going to go 1, 2.
Okay, so you're plus 2 clicks hotter than where you were, Roger?
Hotter than where you were, Roger?
Roger, we are at plus 2 clicks now.
All right, I go 1 more click, plus 3. 1 more click boost to top end treble EQ.
To top end treble EQ.
Okay, we are at plus 3 now.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. Just a little bit of room noise. You must, is that must not be too much furniture in your radio room there.
Too much furniture in your radio room there.
This radio room is an 8 by 10 shack that I finished out, with the air conditioning and heat, and put siding on the walls and did the electrical myself and everything. And I don't know, the noise may be coming from the amp. It's a Ameritron amp, and the fan is a little loud.
Roger. Now, I hear the whine in the background. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the actual acoustics of the room, the reverberation of the room. So what I'm going to have you do is move closer to that microphone. I want to start hearing you more than the reverberation of the room. So if you would come to about 2 inches from that microphone, and hopefully that's not too uncomfortable for you. But I think you're going to, to get an ideal audio signal, you're going to be needing to be in that location to not have much room noise and not have much amplifier whine. So if you will come up on that mic till you're about 2 inches away, and then you may have to go back to your ALC and readjust your ALC level for mid-scale to 2/3 with the newer proximity to microphone that you're running, Roger?
Yeah, Roger, okay. I'm up about 3 inches from the mic now. It is a desk mic, so it is a little uncomfortable to do it this way. But this mic also has a gain control on it.
Yeah, no, that would just make the thing worse. I would leave that microphone EQ the audio control just exactly perfect. Now, is it that the microphone is too high or too low?
High or too low?
Well, it's right in front of my face right now, but it normally sits down fairly low.
Roger. I was just thinking if you might need a different air chair. You might need a different air chair to make that desk mic work out to where you can comfortably work it, a couple of inches or 3 inches away. Because unless you do a major treatment to your room, if you work it further away than that, you're going to have room reverb in your audio, Roger.
Roger, I understand that. Okay, well, we'll work on building a little shelf here to put the mic on right in front of my face. How about that?
Hey, all right. Whatever works. Yeah, you need, that's the thing about amateur radio. Our shacks are not always in ideal environments, but we have to make them work. And I have found that one of the easiest ways to make almost any room work is if you tight mic. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen one of my videos, but I work extremely tight mic. I'm right on top of the mic. I do run a windscreen, and the windscreen just takes all of the gobbledygook that may be floating around and filters it out, and the only thing left is words. So you might consider, now that you're working that mic just a little bit closer, you might consider getting a foam windscreen from your local music store. I think they're like $3 or $4, Roger.
Yeah, Roger, I'll do that. In the past,
past I have done some audio technical stuff, so I'm pretty familiar with that kind of stuff. And I think I'll also probably get a little bit quieter stand to do that.
Roger, Roger. Or, you know, sometimes you can put that amp downriver. I have my amp probably about 6 feet away on a pedestal, about 4 feet tall, 4 or 5 feet tall. And it's, you know, like I say, you want to try to get that amp, you know, you're talking about a bunch of RF floating there. And I have found that if you can move that RF downriver from the mic, you'll have less possibilities of getting RF in the AF, you know. Just, you know, you want it where you can reach it, but you don't want it necessarily in the center of your orbit as far as your radio room. You want your radio maybe in the center, and your power amp off to, say, the right-hand side, you know, maybe 3 or 4 feet, because there's no reason. I mean, once you tune up, you know, theoretically, then you shouldn't necessarily need to have immediate control over that amp, Roger.
Over that amp, Roger.
Roger, understand. It's actually about 2 feet away right now, and I'm looking at the ALC meter again, and it's actually a little higher than what it was doing. It bumps up around 60%. So we've definitely made some headway here. And I just wanted to mention also that you are really booming in here today. You are much louder than you have been the last 2 or 3 Fridays.
Roger, Roger. Well, it's Mother Nature for you. You know, we did a couple of things here, and I think it's helped out. You know, that's the whole thing about amateur radio. You're constantly, you know, experimenting and trying different things. You just have to, you know, be careful, because sometimes you can experiment right into oblivion, and you don't want to experiment quite that far, Roger.
Experiment quite that far, Roger.
Roger that, Jim. Jim, I appreciate your help very much. I don't want to hog this thing any further. Look forward to talking to you again. And once again, I appreciate it. 73 to you.
Roger, Roger. Now, you do have that distinctive whine in the background. It sounds like maybe a 747 coming in for a landing. And you know, it doesn't, as far as compete with your voice, you know, it's just in the background. You can leave it for the next 20 years, or if the mood strikes you as something that you want to tackle, maybe you could change that blower to a quieter blower, Roger.
Yeah, Roger, I'll look into that, because of course, I've got tinnitus so bad I can't hardly hear anything except what's in my head. But I can definitely hear that, and it does sound a little like a 747 at the distance.
Roger, and like I say, the other option to that is moving it a little bit further downriver, maybe 4 feet from, you know, 2 or 3 feet further, you know, to the side from where it is at the moment. The further distance, you know, 2 things: proximity to microphone, and as far as signal to noise ratio, and I'm talking about noise as being anything that's in the room, the acoustic reverberation of the room, or the amplifier blower whine. If you were to take that amplifier and move it a couple of more feet away from the microphone, you would again drop the level of the background of that amp into your audio system, Roger.
Into your audio system, Roger.
Yeah, Roger that. We'll look into that also. That'll be some serious rearranging, huh?
Yeah, I know what you mean. All right, so let me get out of here. Smiley 3's to you, sir. It sounded really good. Thanks for dropping by, Roger.
Yeah, thanks for dropping by, Roger.
Roger, thanks again, Jim. I appreciate it. KZ4ZK is clear.
Roger, Roger. And your EQ is just perfect. Your dynamic range, it looks to be about 3 dB, so your average percent of peak modulation is 80 to 85%. Get the Gorilla Tape and taper it down. 3's to you, sir. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor, Kilo Victor, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG net. We are recording now live till 5. If you have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
You want to check out, give me a shout.
Kilo 1.
Gosh, there was about 3 stations there. Loudest one, try it again.
Stations there. Loudest one, try it again.
Uniform Kilo.
Kilo Victor 3 United.
United station ending in United. Come back with the call sign slowly, phonetically again, please.
Yeah, Jim, thanks. It's Kilowatt Victor 3 United, KV3U. We've worked a couple times. Name's Jeff in Pennsylvania. And just got an older rig on the air and wondered how it sounds to you. Over.
Roger, Jeff. Come back and tell me about your antenna system, please.
Yeah, sure. Just running an inverted V at about 50 feet. And the radio is a ICOM IC736, so vintage piece of equipment, and not a whole lot of settings on it. Compressor in line, and ALC is about 70%. Over.
Roger. The first thing I would suggest would be maybe, what mic are you running?
The ICOM SM30, and I have a windscreen that I put on it that didn't come with the
Okay, you just put it on in the last few seconds?
I moved away just a little bit though.
Okay, because I heard it when you first came back. You were getting a little transient mouth noise there, Roger.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I backed away from the microphone a little bit. Like there's not a whole lot I can do with this. I've got the compressor in line, and I've got ALC stuff.
Okay, you did your signal did fade down quite a bit. So just a few things to check out real quick. That you're running your compressor at a 3, running your compressor at a 3, and your mic gain control is making the ALC meter move mid-scale to 2/3. Roger.
Yep, to the cell. Yeah, I can be there.
All right, I have only on my local antenna. I'm copying you only on my local antenna. None of the SDRs are, inactive or active at the moment. I can't copy you on any of the SDRs. So just on my local antenna, you are about 3 dB above my noise level. So I can't really get enough signal to tell you about your EQ curve, your audio EQ curve at the moment. Roger. Roger, Jeff. Maybe next Friday we'll have better conditions, so we can get the, better conditions to be able to hear your audio, and then suggest what the EQ curve might be best. You may be sitting on it now. I can't. It's just too close to my noise level to really be able to hear it very defined. So 3 is Jeff. Thanks for dropping by, and like I say, try our next Friday. Also, if you want to hear what you sound like at the moment, if you go to YouTube and do that call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. We are now running about 1,120 some odd recorded QSO-VLOGs. You'll be looking for one in specific called My Group Aircheck 52220. My Group Aircheck 52220. Roger.
Good to know. Yeah, I've looked at it before, and it'll be a good reference point. So let's hear how this sounds. So, okay, 7-3. Have a good weekend, and let's make some others off the top of KV3. Thanks, Jim.
Roger, just out of curiosity before you go, did you say you are running a foam windscreen on that mic?
I am. Yeah. The windscreen I picked up. Mike has one internally, but I added one as well. Over.
Roger, because it was amazing. It was a lot of more mouth noise than what I would have expected from a foam windscreen. I wouldn't buy any more of those. I would change foam windscreens. Try that down at your local music store. A different brand of foam windscreen. Roger. Yeah, and again, Jeff, you are right at my noise level, that last transmission. So let me say threes to you, sir. Thanks for dropping by. If you get a chance to join us next Friday. This is KC9VKV, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG net. We've got about 10 minutes before we turn into a pumpkin. So if somebody wants an air check, give me a shout.
Whiskey 0, Tango, Hotel, India.
Whiskey 0, Tango something.
Yep, you got the first part right, Jim. Whiskey 0, Tango, Hotel, India, THI. I'm located up here in Terre Haute. I see you're not far away, so I'm kind of surprised we're hearing each other as well. But yeah, you're very close to 20 dB over here. How copy? Over.
Oh, great. Nice sound there. Tell me about your, well, first off, give me your name, sir.
Yeah, name here is Ken, Kilo Echo November. And like I said, I'm up here in Terre Haute. And there you go.
All righty. Give me about 10 seconds to tell me about your antenna system, Roger.
Today, Jim, I'm operating on a 4080 trap dipole up about 65 feet. One of those old high gain jobbies. Man, it's just a workhorse. Working you on a FTDX 1200 into a Henry 3KD Premier amplifier. I do have some outboard audio gear, so I'm cheating. But I just put this condenser mic on today. I swapped it out with another one I had on. And just kind of looking for a quick check. Over.
Roger. Well, I'm looking at your audio on my spectrum analyzer, and you do have a very broad spectrum that you're working with that microphone. Not all the way down to 100 cycles, but probably around 150 cycles content there. And the top end is very articulated. So you're doing a great job. Your dynamic range, it looks to be about 3 dB, average percent of peak modulation, 80 to 85%. Roger?
Hey, okay, fine business. Well, I look forward to looking at the YouTube channel and see what it sounds like from the other perspective. You know, I've got a monitor function here, but it doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. So, hey, I know you're busy. I know you got a few more probably want to check in. I thought I'd jump in and say howdy do. Nice to meet you. And your signal sounds equally fine up here as well. So thanks for the readback. Yeah, I'm not sure about that 100 hertz business. I'm running TTBF, so not sure about that. I'll check that out. But hey, thanks a lot, Jim. And unless you have any further for me, I'll sign out. Let somebody else jump in there. From Whiskey 0, Tango Hotel, India, Terre Haute, Indiana.
Roger. Well, you have a very balanced signal. You may not be down to 100. You might be down to 200, somewhere in that order, but you have a nice bottom end there, and you have struck balance between the bottom end, the mid range, and the tops, and that's what it's all about. Balanced modulation, balanced audio curve. So great job. And like I say, if you want to hear your audio, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, we're running about 1,120 some odd recorded QSOs. You'll be looking for one specifically entitled My Group Aircheck 52220. Today is date. My Group Aircheck 52220. Roger.
I got it, Jim. Thank you very much. And, yeah, thanks again. And 73, W0THI.
Roger, Roger. And it'll take us 48 hours or so. Don't expect it before 48 hours. We'll probably have it there sooner, but we give ourselves a little breathing room. So, threes to you. Have a great afternoon, a beautiful weekend coming up. This is KC9VKV. Got about 6 minutes before turning into a pumpkin. So if you're looking for an Aircheck recording, give me a shout. KC9VKV listening.
Hotel Uniform Kilo.
Hotel Uniform something. Hotel Uniform something. Come back with a call sign again, phonetically slowly.
Call sign again, phonetically slowly.
Kilowatt 4, Hotel Uniform Kilowatt. Name is Mark, Michael Alpha Romeo Kilowatt, located in Virginia. How are you?
Roger, Roger, Mark in Virginia. And you're loaded up with K's there for sure. KK4 HUK. That sounds great. What radio are you running, sir?
That's great. What radio are you running, sir?
I think I'm running the ICOM 7610 currently on a Cobra style antenna, which I guess is a form of a folded dipole.
Roger, Roger, 7610. Got it tuned up just for you, sir. It starts with running that compressor at about a 3. It's a token amount, but it does exactly what it needs to do. You're not going to be sucking up cows in the South 40 at a 3, but by the other token, who needs that? You want that to be just a little tickle the ivories kind of thing. So we suggest that you run that compressor at about a 3, Roger?
At a 3, Roger.
Roger that, Roger. I've got the compression now set at 3, and how's the audio now, over?
All right, we're coming along. Now I want you to go to your ALC meter with the mic gain in hand, and I want you to adjust your ALC meter to where it's reading mid-scale to 2/3 by way of using your mic gain control, Roger.
Mic gain control, Roger.
Okay, Roger that, and looks like it's a little bit hot there. Let me turn that down a tiny bit. I've got the microphone gain right now at about 35%.
Roger, Roger. Actual gain of the mic reading is not important. It's the level of the mic and its effect on your ALC. ALC is the Bible of that radio. It'll tell you exactly what it's doing better than your neighbor down the street that you might rely on. Rely on that ALC. And you want to set it at mid-scale to 2/3 as you just speak naturally, Roger.
You just speak naturally, Roger.
Okay, let me see here. Probably can stand to turn it down a little bit more. How's that sounding to you now, over?
All right, sounding nice. Now, let's go on a journey. You have, on that radio, you have a button marked quick, Roger?
Have a button marked quick, Roger.
Roger.
Okay, so a punch quick, and let's go to drive.
Punch quick, and let's go to drive.
I've got the drive gain is set at currently at 65%.
Roger, it beat me to the punch. That's exactly where it should be.
That's exactly where it should be.
All right, sound good there.
Roger, usually that drive is set factory at 50, and so we do usually have that turned up to about 65. And what that does, it just takes your audio and just makes it another 5 to 7% fuller than what it was. But you're already there, so you probably wouldn't notice that. But you might notice just a tad on your compressor there from running that at a 3, and that's just the ideal amount. We've worked 7610, 7300 through there. Those both of those, just really respond great at a 3 on the compressor, Roger.
A 3 on the compressor, Roger.
Hey, Roger that. I've got your net in the past before, but this is my first time participating, and I've been listening in for a little while today as well, and appreciate your helping people out getting their radio set up.
Roger, Roger, Mark, Roger. Well, we'll have this uploaded to YouTube in the next couple of days. So if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for KC9VKV, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, you'll be looking for one entitled My Group Aircheck 5/22/20. Today's date. My Group Aircheck 5/22/20. Roger?
Check 5/22/20. Roger?
Roger, Roger. And I found it before, so I'll be looking for it in a couple of days and just checking. Everything sounds clear now. Over.
Roger, there might be just a tad of distortion. I'm not really sure what that is. What amp are you running?
Yes. What amp are you running?
I have the ICOM P2.
Roger, and what's its rated output, and what are you running it at?
Output, and what are you running it at?
100 for the voltage I'm using, and I'm probably running about 400.
Okay, I just had my Georgia SDR shut down. Come again, what... hang on just a minute here. I'm doing myself in by a pin that's laying on the keyboard. Well, I'm not sure here. Hang on just a minute. Technical difficulties abound. Anyway, yeah, it sounded a little distorted. So let me get my, I was copying you on my Georgia SDR, so let me bring that back up. And then I'll be able to hear you just a little bit better. Come on, machine. Oh, great. And back to Georgia SDR. Coming up. Bingo. And then bring the volume up. Oh, audio up. Volume up. All right, let me see if I got you here. I should be on the Georgia SDR. Give me a couple of words there.
Roger that. And actually, I misspoke. It's the ICOM PW1 amp that I have, and it's probably pushing out about 400 watts peak. Currently, I would say it's sort of averaging around 250. Over.
All right, I want you to cut the amp off, drop the amp, and let me hear just the radio.
Okay, the amp is their amp is off right now. Can you hear me? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Sounds cleaner without the amp. I'm not real sure. Tell me about your antenna system for about 10 seconds. Let me hear your audio just with the radio.
Sure thing. No amp or anything at this point. Antenna system, actually 2 antennas, but on this band here, I'm using a Cobra mini antenna, which is a folded dipole. And it is up probably about 35, 40 feet at that peak, and maybe sometimes here.
Roger, now you're not running any external audio processing? Yeah, Mark, if you still have a copy, I'm assuming that you're not running any external audio processing?
Negative. No external audio processing.
I do hear some distortion there on the radio. You're still barefoot, Roger?
Yes, I am. Barefoot now. The last transmission, I'll the amp back up for just a second. Let me speak here for just a moment. Right now, just wearing barefoot, 100 watts, waiting for the power setting. Iron bulb will turn up. Mic is turned down. ALC is probably about halfway, bouncing about halfway up and down. And that's stuff here. Over.
Roger that. Well, it's not a big thing, but I can hear a little bit more than what I would suspect should be there. What's your mic gain? What is your mic gain control level?
Mic gain control is just the aisle CR781, and the mic gain on the control set is about 15% currently.
So about 50? Oh, 15?
Oh, 15?
Okay, what mic are you running?
Okay, what mic are you running?
ILCR 781.
Is that an amplified microphone?
Amplified microphone.
It is not.
Roger, Roger. Well, 15 is a kind of a low audio level. Yeah, I mean, as far as your mic gain control, 15 is kind of low, which indicates that your mic gain level is kind of high, and it could be that you may be overloading your front end of that radio. I would rather see your mic gain at around 40, 45, somewhere 30 to 45, somewhere in that neighborhood. 15 is pretty low. Roger.
Pretty low, Roger.
Okay, Roger that. So I brought it back up to 45%, and how does it sound now? Over.
Roger, but the thing is, you don't want to accelerate your ALC meter past the mid-scale to 2/3 area. Roger.
Area, Roger.
Roger that. What else can I perhaps take a look at? Over.
I would go back to quick and go back to drive and pull that back to 50%. Let's rethink this thing because you are, like I say, I did hear some distortion. So to quick and drive and back to 50% on drive. Roger.
50% on drive, Roger.
Okay, we got it set down to 50 at this point here, and just looking on the total ALC meter on my screen, it's going about halfway across, maybe not quite.
Okay, and what's your mic level control? Where is that?
Level control, where is that?
I left it at 45. Left it at 45, over.
I would leave it like that. I do not hear the distortion now, so let's just run it like that. Get the duct tape out.
Yeah, get the duct tape out.
All right, nice to be heard. I appreciate it very much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and have a great and blessed weekend. Thank you very much, Tim. KK4HGK.
Roger, Mark. And what is your location, please, sir?
Is your location, please, sir?
I'm in Central Virginia. I am in between Charlottesville and Richmond, Virginia, in a little place called Palmyra. Palmyra, over.
Roger that. All right. Well, thank you, sir, for checking in. You have a great afternoon and a beautiful weekend coming up. We'll say threes to you. And thanks for dropping by. If you get a chance to drop by next Friday, we'll do it all again.
Next Friday, we'll do it all again.
Roger. We'll see you then. 7-3, KK4HGK.
This is KC9VKV, and gosh, we have become a pumpkin now, 6 minutes after 5, a major pumpkin. So we're going to wrap this up. Thanks everybody that participated, and if you want to hear what your audio sounded like, go to YouTube and do that call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. That will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and on that page we're running about 1,120 some odd QSO-VLOG recordings. You'll be looking for one specifically entitled My Group Aircheck 52220. My Group Aircheck, today's date, 5/22/20. And with that, we'll jump out of here. Thanks, everybody. And we will be returning the frequency to normal amateur use at this time. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, clear.